go. Getting fit can be easy when you let yourself grow. If you want something you've never had, do something that you've never done. There's a brand new you and more than fitness, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming. You know, it's funny, I have had the honor and the privilege of speaking to hundreds and sometimes even thousands of people. And I think the toughest thing for me is to speak to a small group because it's more intimate. But yet, that's where I feel most at home, as long as it's a little one-on-one. So if you'll allow me just to be myself tonight, I really want to share with you some things that for the last 25 years have really made me who I am. One of the things that I think you need to know about me is, yes, I've been a personal trainer for 10 years. And in that time, I have come across hundreds and hundreds of people. And nobody is ever satisfied with themselves. Is there anybody in here, just by a show of hands, that really wants a new beginning in some area of their life this year that they have not accomplished? That's all of us. How many of you does it have to do with health or your physique or how you look? Pretty much all of us, okay. What I do in personal training, the name of my business is More Than Fitness, because one, I deal with the physical body, spirit, soul, and body, but I find that with most people, the first thing that we look at is the outer appearance. That's the first thing we want to change. And we think if we change the outer body, that somehow our life is going to be different. And that's how most of us think. If we change our outer body and we have this image in our mind of who we want to look like. What I want to share with you tonight is, to me, so important. It's more important than how healthy your body is. It's more important than what your physique looks like, because everything starts here. Now, we all know that, okay, but very few of us practice it. So I want to talk a little bit about the physical body first, and then I want to go into what I think is the most important thing, and that is your spirit and your heart connection. The physical body, most of us have probably struggled with weight training, dieting, treadmills, working our butt off. How many of us have tried and tried and tried to get our physique a certain way, only never to reach our goal? And you feel like, what's wrong? What am I doing wrong? And so what we tend to do is we tend to starve ourselves, thinking, okay, then if I eat less, then my body is going to start coming back in line. Knowledge is power. And if I share with you some knowledge tonight, I can tell you without a doubt that the information is so vital that it can save your life. Now, cortisol is, you have three major hormones for which everything in your body revolves around these three: adrenaline, insulin, and cortisol. Now, if your cortisol, we all know, is a stress hormone, as stress in our lives goes up, we're rushing around, we're trying to take care of kids, we're trying to work a job, we're trying to be here, there, and everywhere, our cortisol starts going up. As cortisol goes up, it sends a signal to insulin. Insulin then sends a signal to the adrenal glands. So what happens? You lay down at night, and what happens to your mind? It starts racing. On and on and on. We can't get to sleep. That's because your adrenal glands cannot slow down and cannot recharge. There's a simple way, a very effective way of bringing these three hormones back into balance. You bring those three back into balance, and the minor hormones, which are the three different estrogens, testosterone, progesterone, those and your DHEA, all of those will fall into balance if you keep the main three balanced. Now that goes for men as well as women. In fact, we're finding more and more men we do a simple saliva test, and on these saliva tests we can find out where the woman's body is out of balance, and we also find out where the man's is. We can find out if he has an enlarged prostate just by looking at a saliva test. Now we know that a single thought you can have a fantasy, and that can cause a total change in the body. Now, what can a single negative thought do in our brain when we start thinking, I'm a failure? I'll never get this weight off. I'll never be able to pack out a house. I'll never be able to do this or do that. When you feed on that, there is a biochemical response that goes on in the brain, because the brain has a little member in it called the hypothalamus, and that hypothalamus causes a chemical reaction to every emotion we feel. If we feel sad, if we feel mad, if we're in lust, if we're in anger, if we're in rage, every single emotion that we have causes a biochemical response in our body. There is an energy flow in your body. You are not a physical being with a spirit. You are a spirit being walking around in a physical body. This body is going to die. Your spirit's going to live on. There's got to be some way that your Creator, who created you and gave you that eye color and the hair color, there's got to be some way He connects with you. And that way is through the spirit. And that spirit, through your body, is talking to you all the time. It's whether or not we shut it up and we block it. You know, what are you blocking in your mind? What are you blocking in your heart? How much stuff do we hold within ourselves that affects our body? So if we're not letting go of stuff that's 20, 25, 30 years old, don't you think that we're dragging that stuff into our lives now? So how are we going to get our minds to change? How are we going to get our energy to change? How are we going to get our realities to change? You want to change your body? You know, changing a body, getting a person's body in shape, that's the easiest thing in the world to do. But diligence and faithfulness and commitment brings results. But the most important thing is not changing their bodies. The most important thing is changing here. Because I can get a person the body that they're really wanting to achieve, but if every time they look in the mirror, all they're seeing is failure, all they're seeing is their flaws, sooner or later they're going to be right back. We've all heard about emotional eating, that, oh, well, I eat chocolate when I get depressed. Or when I get stressed, you know, I have to have chili, or I have to have pizza, or I have to have something. And, you know, then you have these psychologists that say, well, you know, that's emotional eating, and you're covering up emotions. Maybe you are. Maybe you are. But are you listening to your spirit? Because if you're listening to your spirit, you know, there's a lot to be said for taking 5 minutes. And you know what? You can do this before you even get out of bed in the morning. And that is create your day. Before you get out of bed, take 3 minutes, not even 5, 3, and none of you can tell me you don't have 3 minutes to say, I am going to create my day. I am going to change the way this day goes. I am going to find something good. I am going to find something I can be grateful for.